Hey guys, welcome back. This is week 10 at Project Life, and I've dug way back in my stash for this week. I grabbed out one of my Citrus Twist mega kits. If you haven't seen the video of how I put these kits together, I will leave the link up here in the description box for you as well. But basically it's just a whole pile of leftover pieces from old kits. Like, these are very old, and so I'm just going through them. It does take me a little bit more time, I think, than using a regular kit, because there is a lot more sort of stuff in here, and because it comes from like a bunch of different kits, it doesn't always necessarily coordinate. Now, one thing I did do since filming that kit video, I have removed all of the stamps from my mega stash kits and just put the stamps into my stamp stash. This way I'm not missing out on using those stamps because they're sitting in these kits in my drawer. I get to use them all the time, and it means that when I do dig back in and use these kits, I'm not limited to the stamps that are in them. Now, my photos this week are kind of a mix between colourful and a little bit kind of dark. So I'm tossing up as I'm placing these kind of cards and papers between going really light or really colourful. And in the end, really light kind of won out. This was a week that we took a kind of really special road trip. It was a tough week, and we treated ourselves to this road trip at the end of the week. So I've got this really beautiful seascape photo down the bottom here, and I do want that to be a little bit of a focus for this week. And so I didn't want to overwhelm the page with a whole lot more color. And so you can see here I'm using a few patterns, but most of them are very light and bright. I did decide to bring in this kind of a map. I don't know if it's a real map or if it's a made-up map. The place names look very strange on it, but it's that lovely kind of tealy blue color. I figured it gave it just enough color without being super overwhelming. This week is going to end up having a kind of insert next to it, I suspect, because I took way too many photos on our trip, and I really do want to document that sort of separately to this week. So it'll probably end up having an insert next to it. So again, keeping things more on the kind of light and neutral side means that when I do get around to doing that insert, I'm not going to be limited by what colors are on this spread. Now, I've got the kind of basics of my page done, but I want to work on my title card first because I want to see how that's going to affect the balance of the page before I carry on too much further. And I had this idea for stamping out my week title. These are the Spencer Alphas from Citrus Twist, one of my favorites. I'm going to do them a little bit differently this week. I'm stamping them out. I picked a blue that kind of matched that seascape, and then I'm going to use that as a template for some stitching. It feels like forever since I've done any stitching in my Project Life albums, and so that's what I'm going to do this week. And this is a really easy way to do it because there's no kind of guesswork involved in it. I have stamped out the words. I am using just a drawing pin and my little mat. You can use a mouse pad. You could use anything you want. Just don't stab into your desk. I'm going around the edges of the letters, punching little holes, and then I'm just going to use a really simple back stitch. I picked out this blue embroidery thread. You see I had a few different choices there. I went for this brighter blue in the end. When I stitch on Project Life cards like this, I do tend to split my embroidery thread, so I don't use the 6 strands. I just use 3 and just get to stitching. I will say this did take me a little bit longer than usual. I stopped filming in the end and went and watched some TV while I did that. And the time passed quickly. So you can see there, I just attach the threads on the back with washi tape. I don't tend to knot anything because I don't need that extra bulk. The washi tape works fine for holding everything nice and flat. The Spencer Alpha doesn't have numbers with it, and so I finished off my title card week number with these Felicity Alphas. I had them out because I wanted to stamp the word escape on the top of my seascape. It was definitely a seaside escape, so I wanted to stamp that out. I just stamped that directly onto my photos with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. And now I've got a better idea of the balance between the colors, my title card, how heavy that is compared to the rest of it, and especially having those two kind of larger words on there now. So now it's just a case of adding a few little embellishments. So again, it's a mega kit, so there's a ton of embellishments in here. They're all from different kits. I went through them first, kind of sorting out ones that I think I might use, and just to make a smaller pile much easier to go through. I just really do that really quickly, like not too much kind of overthinking it, just really pulling out a few to use, and then I use that pile to kind of place around my layout to see where I want to put things. I decided that my title card was a little bit on the light side as far as balance goes. So I'm going to add a cluster of embellishments up here at the top, including a label that I'm going to stamp my date stamps on. So I really am just playing around up here, getting a few layers, and then just decided to kind of ditch the floral because there were no florals anywhere else on this page. I'm using that kind of seascapey, postcardy looking thing. I never thought I'd be able to use those, but it worked perfectly on this spread. So there you go, never throw those bits and pieces away. And then I'm just date stamping like normal. It's a very small cluster. I decided to add like a puffy sticker here just to kind of give it another layer. It looked a tiny bit empty. The puffy stickers that I've got left in this kit, there's a few pink ones and some black and white striped ones, so they're still usable. There's an awful lot of green ones on there. I can't see how I'm ever going to use those up, to be perfectly honest. So my photo of Lil, I just added another little die cut to the top, and I added one of those puffy stickers to the end of it. They kind of had rounded ends, the same as this one here, which it's not my personal preference. So if I can cover those up or chop them off, I definitely do that. And now I've got another little cluster going to happen at the bottom of this photo. I did a jigsaw puzzle, and you'll see I kind of put these labels in here with the purpose that I was going to stamp something on them, and I totally forgot to do that. As I was taking some photos for you to see at the end here, I realized I never went back and stamped anything on there. The few stamp sets that I had pulled out to work with this week's photos didn't really include any kind of games or puzzles. I don't think I have a whole lot of puzzle stamps. And so I just didn't stamp anything on there. I kind of forgot. I thought I would go back into my stash and have a look, and just never did. So you'll see at the end, I eventually get there. I did the same sort of thing with my other square photo down the bottom there, just added a few little layers into sort of underneath the layers of the photo. That photo I did matte with the same map paper just to tie it together a little bit. But this photo at the top here on the map paper, I'm going to create a little bit more of a cluster up here because I pulled out that much larger embellishment, and that was a more kind of travel themed one, but I liked the color of it. A lot of the embellishments that I'm adding, the die cuts and whatnot this week, I've chosen specifically to kind of tone down that very teal and blue color scheme that I had right at the start. Like, I love it, but it was very themey, very same. And so adding some of these other colors, especially a lot of these ones from this kind of mega kit, were a little bit more on the kind of warmer, muted side. And so that does tone down that very cold blue. I'm using a couple of stamps from this Anxiety Vibes stamp set from Kelly Stamps. One I added to that cluster at the top, and the other I stamped onto the bottom of my kind of journal card for the week. It's very hard to see on camera, but there's a little bit of a pattern down the bottom. And so I decided to add my stamp to it in a little puffy heart. At the bottom rather than at the top is where I would generally stamp something and then add my journaling underneath, but I kind of just switched it up a little bit this time. It also helps to make sure that there's a bit of variety through that middle spread as well, because then I've got clusters sort of top and bottom. I added a stamp to my little kitty photo and then called this page done. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.